Rob's Child. Here we start part 3, chapter 22 of Security Analysis. Nothing I say is investment advice, and I intend to supplement and open the content of the book for discussion, not to replace any of it. So chapter 22, part 3, first of all, the big title here is Senior Securities with Speculative Features. In chapter 22, title of just the chapter is Privileged Issues. So these are, defined as basically bonds or preferred shares that have different types of speculative features. The three main ones being convertibility. In other words, you can take your bond and trade it for a certain number of stocks, basically. It has to do with the price of the stock. And you'd only convert it if the stock price got high enough, so you could, essentially be exercising a call contract kind of a thing as part of the bond. And then participating, as in when the common shareholders get their profits, you also get profits as a bondholder. That sounds pretty nice. And then there's got to be a pretty good premium for that. And then there's subscription. So in other words, the right to purchase stocks at a certain, set price. Like you can buy this many stocks for $10 no matter what. Even if it goes to $1,000 a share, obviously something like that attached to a bond is highly attractive. It's similar to a warrant. We call those warrants today, I think. There's rights, there's warrants, options, these kinds of things. All these we use today. He talks about them a little bit. But anyway, yeah, so first point, they're highly attractive as a form of investment. They're secure and speculative, but not many of them are sound, is the first point here. He says most are not safe. And so, when companies are offering these speculative features on their bonds, it's often used to make bad investments seem more attractive. And they were very, very popular from 1926 to 1929. So, you have these people buying what's supposed to be a secure investment being a bond and by itself, but it's like, oh, look, we got all these bells and whistles. Again, he does not like bells and whistles on his bond so much, even though as a form they're attractive. If you're losing the safety element of the bond in the first place, it's like, it's just not a good situation. There's a lot of ways to understand that. So capital appreciation comes risk of losing gained value as well. That's another thing, when you have when you hold anything speculative and let's say it does really well, it goes way up. Well, there's increased risk there. You're no longer, your normal bondholder. When you have all of these things, you have the risk of losing that value. You look at the value of your portfolio of, let's say, a bunch of convertible bonds and they're sky high. You think you're rich, but what are you going to do now? Because now, if the stock price goes down, well, you lose a lot of value. So you increase your risk. These speculative features are very attractive, but after gaining, then they really lose their ability to be safe at that new higher price. So obviously, in the case of uh, it getting even to being convertible, like a dollar in advance, like that might be a good time to sell out or exercise the convertibility of it or whatever. Um, yeah, at the end of the day, and then let's say the company does really badly, the losses can more than offset the gains that you thought you had made. So we get to a point that convertibles, in other words, and when he uses the word convertibles, he means all three types, because in a way they're the same in the speculative thing. So they should be bought as either straight and safe. In other words, you're buying it, just for your coupon rate plus the incidental gains, or you're buying it because you're speculating on the common stock, so purely speculative. You really shouldn't do both unless it's like super, super discounted. Then, and it's like, yeah, and you think it's safe. So it's highly discounted. You think there's more safety than the market does, plus with the speculation. But in normal circumstances, if you're buying it directly from the company at par value, those are your two reasons for having a bond with speculative features. It's like, maybe I'll get a lot more, maybe not, but I know it's secure. Or you're just buying it because, like, oh yeah, this thing's gonna really take off. But again, on that basis, on the purely speculative basis, why not just buy the common stock at that point? So yeah. So anyway, the point here being, know why you buy it. The proper having proper market psychology he mentions here. I didn't even know that was a term back then, but he does mention it. So speculative features do not give safety. That's just like a really hard point to understand. So then we come to some actual numbers to use, and his rules on whether you should hold on to a bond with speculative features or sell it. He says, if you're holding it as a straight investment with, potential gains, then 25% to 35% of appreciation of the value of the bond from the speculative feature gaining value is enough to sell. Like, if you are in there for safety and you got that gain, sell it. Sell it and find another investment that you find to be safe. He says that's enough. You've made more than what anybody normally makes on a bond investment. But if you're holding on, if you're interested in speculation of, even greater gains, then in that case is the proper time to hold it for more. But, at that point, again, you are no different than the common stockholder. At that point, you're no longer a bondholder. You're a bondholder that turned into a stockholder once you're holding on to something that's already gained a lot of value. So good convertibles should be available to find. He says if you go through markets, they should be something you should be able to find. I haven't done that myself yet, and I'm interested to go explore that. So for now, that's all we're going to discuss for Chapter 22. Please comment below. Rob's Child.